Well, hello everybody. It is, I don't know what day it is. It's Sunday, July. I guess the 4th was Friday, so that makes today, what, the 6th? It is 2 days after the 4th of July, Independence Day, which a lot of us were not feeling so celebratory about this year. Donald Trump signed the big ugly bill into law. It's going to cut a lot of support to our social safety net, particularly in the health care industry. Hospitals will close, nursing homes will close, like a quarter of both of those throughout the nation will end up closing because of these cuts, which don't actually go into effect until 2026 or 7, because the Republicans put a delayed fuse on this bomb, because they don't want to take responsibility now in these midterms, because they know this bill is hella unpopular. Only 25 to 35% of the population supports it. Anywhere from 55 to 65 opposes it in various polls. Highly unpopular. GOP, very unpopular right now. Trump, increasingly unpopular. He's underwater. So they don't want these things to be attached to their names. Well, too bad. You are going to own this, Republicans and Donald Trump. The most worrisome thing about the bill to me is the ICE funding. It's going to astoundingly, unbelievably ramp up the funding for immigration control. I think that's the right word for it, control. They're going to give $150 billion over the next 5 or 10 years to ICE. Essentially, compared to their current budget of 10 billion or something, or 5 billion, it's insane. It doesn't happen all at once. It's probably going to happen yearly, and probably you can expect a big surge in funding the first year, and then probably lower maintenance or whatever costs ongoing. But they have up to $150 billion to spend. That's going to get up to 10,000 or more ICE agents on streets across the nation, which is more than the FBI has. And it's going to give more prison facility room than the Bureau of Prisons have. They're going to really take this mass deportation thing up a notch. There's a lot of pushback to it. It's extremely unpopular. Joe Rogan just had on his podcast the other day where he was condemning the ICE raids. Trump is trying to figure out how to exempt certain industries like the agriculture business industry for some of this stuff, because they rely on immigrant labor so much. There's a lot. It turns out a lot of our economy is built on immigrants' backs, just like it was built on slaves' backs when we founded our country. So it's a pattern that we have here already. We also enslaved the black people. I don't know if I'm using the right terminology, so please forgive me if I say something that is not, acceptable today. But in any case, we enslaved black people, right? And we built our country on that. I'm sorry. Get a little bit emotional sometimes. But we have a lot to fix. We are continuing that pattern with the immigrants now. And so it's just another sad stain in our history. This is not what I was originally going to make the video about. I wanted to talk about something else, actually, because I think it's an important time to talk about it. The immigration stuff really bothers me a lot, and I think it bothers the majority of Americans. And so this is going to be a real albatross around Republicans. This is where I guess this is just all lead into what I want to talk about. So Republicans are going to be really unpopular in the midterms, and that's the only way to stop some of this stuff. But they are going to be particularly vulnerable. And today, or yesterday, something like that, every day blends together these days, but I think yesterday, Elon Musk formally incorporated the America Party. Now this is, okay, whether it's a vanity project of his, one of his many exploratory excursions into different realms, right? Whatever, it still represents a very important moment in our history. He's getting serious about opposing Donald Trump, whatever that means. Of course, he helped put him in there to the tune of $300 million or whatever it was during the campaign. But now he's not getting a return on his investment, right? It's all business. And so we're back into the golden age, ironically enough. or the Gilded Age, right, of the robber barons, and we have oligarchs controlling our society once again. That's okay. We've been here before, again, right? Just like earlier, we've been here before. Now we have a few extraordinary circumstances that are not great. The executive is taking unprecedented power, but he is not succeeding in all cases, and he's receiving significant blowback. And so that's good for us. But the point here is about this political realignment that's happening. And this has happened in our history numerous times. The Democrats and the Republicans are not the only parties that have existed. And it's not like they just adapt or whatever to current times and their policies change. A lot of times their policies are kind of inflexible on some things. Think back to the slavery days. The Republicans, which is why I was a Republican, by the way, was one of the things that appealed to me about the Republican Party. They were the party that abolished slavery, Abraham Lincoln. But I don't know if you knew this, but the Republican Party didn't exist 5 years before that, before Abraham Lincoln was elected as a Republican. He was the first Republican president, and one of the greatest, I would add. But the Republican Party didn't exist and he was a no-name politician. He was like a failed state assemblyman from Illinois? I don't know, something like that. In any case, we're seeing these patterns repeat. And so I know that this can be a scary time. It's very terribly scary. But we've been down this road before a few times. And so I'm a big believer in learning from history. So I did some research today on the history of political parties in America. And now that we have this America Party, regardless of whether it fails or succeeds, it is a very significant sign of a political realignment happening in America. And I would argue it's the collapse of the Republican Party. So I think we are going to see the Republican Party either slowly or quickly dwindle away in relevance. It's been hijacked by a highly incompetent cult of personality, as we see, who have no actual ideology other than whatever the senile leader's opinion is in the moment that he is asked about that topic, right? He's very just, something in the wind. So they have no policy, and we're starting to see people they're not happy about that. He bombed Iran, and the MAGA contingent was very pissed off. There were a lot of the No More Endless Wars people that really bought into his No More Endless Wars things. Now, it's been a couple weeks since the bombing in Iran happened. Things are still kind of tense over there, but there is a shaky ceasefire that's holding for now. But there's all kinds of other regional instability happening as well. So, that's probably not going to stay calm there, which is going to be it's going to raise its head again. And he's going to have to deal with that internal issue as well as the external problem that will arise, which he's just not good at crisis handling. And by the way, the Republican coalition right now is just so shakily brought together. You have a lot of people that are unhappy in the party. Tom Tillis quit the party and quit the Senate, right, at the end of this term. People are fed up in the party. And that's why we have the America Party forming. There's enough differences of opinion in the Republican Party that Elon Musk, the wealthiest man in the world by far in all of history, hundreds of billions of dollars in wealth, has decided to form a new party because he thinks he can siphon off a significant portion of those. He's admitted his strategy is to focus on about 15 seats across the Senate and House and flip those to the America Party and kick the Republicans out. That's kind of that's a good strategy, actually, which is kind of shocking to me because he has not displayed very good political acumen to this point. But he's saying that he wants to focus on, a handful of seats in competitive districts and take those seats for the America Party. And then he has a lot of Democratic Party alignments, especially on the eco stuff, the environmentally friendly stuff. Some like the rocket stuff and the business deregulation, that's where he aligns with the Republicans on a lot of stuff. But he's now breaking publicly with the Republican Party on a bunch of stuff. But those are the values he holds. So there is a legitimate lane he could swim here. I don't know if he will or not, but things are coming together for a kind of a perfect recipe for Republicans kind of soon, I think. Between all of the world crises that are happening because of the lack of global leadership that Donald Trump has provided, we are going to see more and more crises erupt across the planet that he is going to have to fix. And he can't fix things. That's the thing. He says he'll fix it all. He never fixes anything. He always makes it worse until he is forced into bankruptcy. So he will have to be forced into political bankruptcy for anything to move on. But my point to the political parties. I went back through, I used some AI services to help me identify parties throughout America's history. We had the Whigs, which was the precursor to the Republican Party. We also had, the Bull Moose Party that Roosevelt won on, and then nobody else ever won as a president or a national office in that party, I think. You had the Dixiecrats, I think, at one point. You had you had the actual American Party in the past as well. There's just been so many political parties. You had the Democratic Republicans. You had the Federalist, I think, party at some point. Maybe Hamilton or something. But we've had a bunch of political shifts in our history. It sucks that this one is coming now, but it's kind of been due for a while, and it's kind of been heading to this point no matter what. So as I see things in the Republican Party, there's about 3 or 4 wings or contingents or whatever, factions. You've got the Tea Party folks, taxed enough already folks that like small government, small government kind of party, low taxes, don't get in my business kind of stuff. They also kind of align with the Libertarian Party in a bit. But I think that has kind of morphed. That Tea Party started back in 2010 in response to Obama. And there was a lot of movement there. They won a lot of stuff. But they have kind of morphed into the Freedom Caucus now, I think. The Chip Roys and those folks, right? They are a significant bloc in the party. They don't like business regulation. They don't like taxes. They just don't like. They just want everybody to just go away, right? And they want to be by themselves, mostly, which is funny because they banded together. But then you've got the traditional Republican neocons. That's kind of what I was. The Reagan kind of Republicans with, whatever the post-G.W. Bush kind of platform was. Very kind of assertive of our, our military strength across the planet. And, still also smallish government, but, deregulation and some of that stuff. But also taxes, kind of whatever. Also very fiscally irresponsible, which I never really cared for. A bunch of different stuff on immigration, but the immigration really kind of started to become a thing, I think, as a platform, I guess, maybe in the mid-aughts or so. And there was a clear kind of anti-immigrant something simmering. But that was kind of mostly a side issue. Or maybe a subtext kind of thing. Anyways, then you've also got kind of the MAGA contingent, and these guys are nutso. They're crazy. They have crossover into the Freedom Caucus folks, but they're kind of their own thing, and they are almost at odds with the neocons and the Freedom Caucus. In a lot of ways. But these also encompass the No Endless Wars Republicans, right? The Joe Rogans and that's what Trump ran on, right? All of these, no more war. That's what Trump staked his flag on in that debate with Jeb Bush or whatever, which I thought was ridiculous anyways when it happened. So you got these kind of opposed parties, and also the MAGAs are almost slavishly loyal to Trump. The moderates, the neocons, are just kind of squishy. They don't really know how to stand on their principle. Mitch McConnell he could actually stand on some stuff, but they just, since Trump has come, everybody's folded. Even Mitch McConnell now. And he was one of the few holdouts. He's old. He got to go. We got to stop this gerontocracy. Anyways, this video is going long. Sorry. So those are kind of the three factions, anyways, I see in the party. I think that there's also the technocracy, the technocrats or whatever in the Republican Party. And Elon has a lot of sway over those. And there very much is an accelerationist wing of the Republican Party. So you got these like four, I guess, kind of smaller caucuses, and they kind of coalesce into the Republican Party, because that's what we got. We got the Republicans or the Democrats, and if you're not with us, then you're with them, and you gotta pick one, right? So they just kind of all sided together with under the Republican brand, which is now the Trump brand, unfortunately. But those are unsustainable agreements, alliances. So in some cases, they're explicitly opposed. Like the technocrats want the EV credits, right? Elon Musk has an EV company and battery company and solar company. And they need a lot of power as well with all of the AI stuff. That takes a crap ton of power. So then you've also, on top of that, you've got the oil, the drill baby drill Republicans, which kind of crosses a bunch of different segments. But that old energy mentality, which a lot of the Republican power was built on, right? Some of those oil fields and such. So they have a vested interest in that. And so these technocrats are a threat at a different level, right? Also, they tend to side with the Democrats on a lot of social issues like immigration, because they depend a lot on immigrants to work as well. And they have a lot of money, right? It's not like the farmers the farmers don't have a lot of money. That's why they have to band together, and they're often subsidized by the government. That's the way they make their profit. So the technocrats have a shit ton of money though, and they also need immigrants. And so the Democrats have been historically more receptive to that kind of stuff. And so there's just there's a lot of these different factions that are explicitly opposed to each other. And I think that with this new America Party, you're going to see some wing of I think it's going to hurt Republicans more than Democrats, but it's probably also going to hurt Democrats some, because that's just the way these things go. But, if we play the cards right, the Democrats can reposition themselves, because they are one of the longest running political parties, I think, in America. And they've rebranded a couple times, but kind of fundamentally been the same group. And I think that I'm not really a Democrat, but like probably I will be soon, if they'll have me. But I think that as Democrats, we have to think about how can we adapt our policies to really suit the people. And I think we can do that. Or Democrats have a 20% approval rate, right? So they could go the way of the dodo as well, and we could see a bunch of new parties spring up. And that's another pattern that is present in our history. So I might publish like a perplexity page or something on some of the history of our political parties in America. I think it's worth studying, because I think that when we understand our times in context of that, I think it puts a lot of things in place and helps us position ourselves better for the future in every manner speaking. And it can help us not rebuild our institutions, but build better institutions, because some of them have been wrecked. But those are my thoughts for today. I don't know if any of them are useful, but that's what I've got for you all. Take care. Signing off.